Hi folks, today we're looking into some strategy games. My favourite collection of strategy games, potentially that and Command and Conquer, but this one is the one that's sort of always stolen my... Oh, hang on a minute, what am I talking about? There's like XCOM in there as well. Oh, I like strategy games, okay? But today specifically, we're looking into Dungeon Keeper. So Dungeon Keeper is a game where you build a dungeon and you stop your dungeon... Well, you kind of grow your dungeon, recruiting stuff, and then you kill the good guys. It's a bit of a flipped sort of scenario, which is super exciting. And again, for 10-year-old me in 1997, Bullfrog released this game that was right up my street. There has been others. So Dungeon Keeper 1, obviously, then Dungeon Keeper 2, and then a long wait before we found War for the Overworld. We don't talk about Dungeon Keeper for mobile. That's not a thing. It's just not. So without further ado, we should start with Dungeon Keeper 1. So as I said, Dungeon Keeper 1 was released in 1997 by Bullfrog Entertainment. Yes, I understand that is one of Peter Molyneux's companies. But, you know, for every Godus, there was a Fable, Black and White, Theme Hospital, Theme Park, all that sort of stuff. So, give and take with that guy, but let's not worry about him too much anymore. So, yeah, as you can see, the graphics are a bit 1997, if we're being perfectly honest. But I think the soundtrack is brutal. I think everything about it I kind of love in its own little way. Even the sort of terrible graphics I kind of dig. You know, it's just something that sort of brings me great nostalgia. I remember in 1997 with my old little PC with the, you know, CRT that went back for 4.5 miles, sat there playing Dungeon Keeper to my heart's content. Until my dad would throw me off because he wanted to play Command and Conquer or Doom or something. So, yeah, like I said, all these games have this kind of flipped scenario. In the main cinematic, you can see, you know, the heroic knight going in to fight the dungeon and sort of save the town, and then being quite brutally murdered, let's face it, by the denizens of that dungeon. So this sort of main sequence, and even the voiceover is so good. It's by a guy called Richard Ridings, whose name will probably come up a couple more times in this video, who you might notice if you've got kids or if you're 12 or something. He is also Daddy Pig from Peppa Pig as well, which is interesting, I guess. You know, you came here for information, so I'm giving you information. So yeah, that dark sense of humour comes really through the game, right through from the imps that you have. So the sort of main workers of your entire dungeon are called imps, and you can pick them up, and you can slap them if they're not doing the job properly, and you want to speed them up. It's pretty silly like that, you know. It's very, everything about it is very sort of tongue-in-cheek. So yeah, basically what you have is you have that middle room there, which is a dungeon heart, and with that dungeon heart, that's your like health bar, if you will. So if that gets destroyed, you lose the level, or you lose the game, or whatever. Whereas if you have the imps, and the imps like sort of tunnel through walls, collect gold, like sanctify the ground, or claim the ground, I think it's called. And then on top of that claimed ground, you can put on like rooms. So obviously I've given the first level here. In the first level, you've got a lair and a hatchery, I think it is, something like that. So the lair is where the monsters sleep, and the hatchery is where they eat. And in the old Dungeon Keeper games, it used to be little chickens, and you could like pick them up and give them to the things, and they would gobble them down, sort of thing. It's very silly. But yeah, like this game, it might look like it's from the past, but it's on GOG.com. It doesn't cost that much money. I recommend anyone to go and play it. It's ace. Does it hold up? Probably not. It is tough to play on new PCs, and again with that, I kind of worked out how you could zoom the camera out. It did take a holding down control and tapping the down arrow almost, or the up arrow. I can't remember which way around it was. But yeah, it is finicky because it's an old game. But yeah, you should totally go out and play it. It's really good. I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10. I did it. Wait, should I give it 10 out of 10 because I was 10? No, never mind. So yeah, so with that said, we should move on to its big brother, which is Dungeon Keeper 2. So the second game we're going to look into is Dungeon Keeper 2. Now, Dungeon Keeper 2 was criticised at release in 1999 for being very similar to its predecessor. And it was. Like, there's no sort of getting around that. It absolutely was. But again, as 12-year-old me probably said, it's not similar, it's betterer. The game is just improved in every way, shape, and form. The graphics are a million times better. Even now, totally holds up. I've played Dungeon Keeper 2 once every 2 years, once every year for the past 15 years, 16 years. Easy. Like, it's just such fun to play through. Again, it's available on GOG. Again, it's a Peter Molyneux game, which is unfortunate, but, you know, we can get around that. This game, again, conceptually completely the same, but the campaign itself is actually based a little bit more around a story. So basically, the story is that the evil King Reginald of the Goodly Nations has designed these portal gems, which I think what you've seen in the trailer, the cinematic. And in these portal gems, basically, they banish the monsters to the underworld so they can't get out. And your job as the Dungeon Keeper is to basically overthrow King Reginald, collect all the portal gems, and release all the monsters into the Overworld and destroy everything. Which is, again, not what you'd expect from a video game, but it's nice to play the baddies occasionally. You do also have like a kind of main monster character, the guy who appears at the end of the level. He is a Horned Reaper, it's like the species he is, but he is hilariously called Horny. I mean, it was the 90s. Just go with it, right? So yeah, that was a strange one. But again, you've got the imps do the exact same thing. In this one, I think you get a lair, a hatchery, and a training room. Again, all those are available in the first one. It's just in this one you get them a little bit earlier on, so you can start to sort of train your monsters up. How level your monsters are, the quicker you can kill stuff. But yeah, it's just fun. It's stupid. It's pretty great. And I think it was the end of '99, start of 2000. They started to develop Dungeon Keeper 3, and unfortunately, it was cancelled. It's been said for lots of different reasons, but I know the reason. I'm watching you, Molyneux. Anyway, so we should probably get on to the third and final in what we're going to talk about today in the sort of Dungeon Keeper saga, if you will. And that'll be War for the Overworld. And we'll see the differences between these two games from the 90s and then War for the Overworld in the 2010s. So the final consideration for our little jaunt through these strategy games, these Dungeon Keeper games, is War for the Overworld. Now, War for the Overworld started as a fan project, really, in 2009 by a group of guys basically working on the web to put something together. And by 2012, they decided, like early 2012, they decided to scrap the project and sort of step away from the Dungeon Keeper name and become its own thing, because obviously people saw the benefit in it, and maybe got a couple of investors, we don't know, and decided to sort of go down the War for the Overworld route, which is again taken from like quotes and stuff from DK1 and 2. And then at the end of 2012, when they put this game together, they set up Kickstarter. So on Kickstarter, they're asking for 150 grand, that's pounds, to build this game. And they had to give themselves, I think it was like a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. It's like the end of November till the start of January, I think. And they were doing okay, you know, they sort of plugged through November, did alright, you know, decent sort of concept art and stuff like that. And by, I think it was December the 22nd, Peter Molyneux actually saved the day, which is actually really good of him. He came out on, I think it was like Twitter or Facebook or some video or whatever, and he praised Bright Rock Studios for what they were doing. And what they were really doing was they were sort of systematically trying to copy something of his. And it's really unlike Peter Molyneux to sort of really big someone up like that. So that's why he's like loved and hated in equal measure, you know? Because he can do really, really good things. I'm getting off topic. So yeah, anyway, he came out and talked about Bright Rock, and the Kickstarter went from something to like 179 grand in like 4 days, 5 days. And it turned out that by the, I think it's 29th of December, the Kickstarter had met 150,000. And then by the 3rd of January when it closed, it made £211,372, something crazy. So it meant that they could go into production. So that was in 2013, so early into 2013. And it did take a couple of years for the game to actually get completely created, as it came out on April the 2nd, 2015, on Steam and lots of other platforms, that sort of stuff. I think it was PC only. It might have been Steam only, now I think about it. It might still be Steam. Whatever. So yeah, they went through all this, and I think a year later they released Heart of Gold, which is like a little mini expansion, and then they released My Pet Dungeon, which is again another riff on something from Dungeon Keeper 2, where you've basically got a dungeon that you can build as big as you want and attract the enemies in whenever you want. It's one of those ones like try and get a perfect ecosystem working. It's pretty cool for nerds like me. So yeah, realistically, it is very much in the same vein as Dungeon Keeper 1 and 2. You've got imps. I think they're called imps. They might be called workers. I think they are called workers. Because it's like Steam, and it's 2015 at the time. There was Steam packs so you could skin your workers up. I think even if you watch the footage, you'll see little things that's like, oh, sign up here and the workers will be a different colour or whatever. Like, who cares? Even though I think I bought Heart of Gold and I've now got a gold worker on mine. I'm so sad, it's unbelievable. But yeah, it's the exact same concept. Everything, the only thing that's like a bit janky about it is everything's slightly differently named. So it's not a goblin, it's a gnarling. You know what I mean? Right the way through it, you know, it's not a horned reaver, it's just bleh, you know what I mean? So there's a million different sort of tiny changes to stuff, which is off-putting if you've just played Dungeon Keeper 2. I mean, you could have just played Dungeon Keeper 1, but I would very much doubt it. But honestly, it is such a fun game to play. I have put hours and hours and hours into it. And I will continue to put hours and hours and hours into it. I think I finished it properly twice or 3 times now. One or the other. So it's just fantastic. The graphics are incredible. The sort of motion, the movement of the monsters and what they do and stuff is really funny and really stupid. You can take them to casinos and stuff like that and get their wages back off them, which puts them in a bad mood, so you can put them in something else in a better mood. It's just all crazy. But I really, really, really think it's just such a fantastic game. Again, you can get it on Steam, and I think you should, because it's really good. And if you don't fancy it, if you're not really into that sort of stuff, try it anyway, because it's really, 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 really good. So yeah, with that said, War for the Overworld is like 1,000,000 out of 10. Did I do one for Dungeon Keeper 2? Probably not. But Dungeon Keeper 2... We'll go Dungeon Keeper 2 is like 9 out of 10. War for the Overworld's like 9 out of 10. If you had the stuff from Dungeon Keeper 2, like the naming and the sort of character design... I think the character design's really good in War for the Overworld. But yeah, if you had that over here, and then you had War for the Overworld and its update graphics and all that stuff, and that's where your perfect game is. So, anyone who can build that, I'm ready and waiting. That's brills. So yeah, that's our little talk for the day. It's our little video. If you've got any questions or queries about them, ask the developers, because I know very little. All I know is like it's built in an old engine, and then the new ones are like it's built in Unity. That's pretty much it. But like I say, yeah, thanks very much for watching, folks. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Dungeon Keeper.